Hey everyone, welcome back to Jurassic World Evolution. Today we're gonna do a video to celebrate a milestone that this channel just reached, and that is having 100 subscribers. So thank you for everybody who's subscribed to the channel. I try to not talk too much about that kind of stuff with all that jazz when it comes to like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff, but I do appreciate that so many of you have liked the videos and have subscribed. So this is a custom park that I built to showcase some of my favorite dinosaurs in the game thus far, and each of them has a little story or just a reason why I like that particular dinosaur. And so I'm also going to try to like simulate doing like a first-person tour of the park with the capture mode, which I thought we'll see how that goes. But anyway, before we embark on this tour, don't take any of these favorites personally. If it was like ranked 1 to 50, all of these would be carnivores, probably except for a couple herbivores. What I tried to do is to take at least one, but up to 3 dinosaurs from each type in the game. So like for me that was like sauropods, stegosaurs, hadrosaurs, ceratopsians, large carnivores, medium carnivores, and small carnivores. So I tried to take a little from each of those groups and showcase which ones I liked the most. There's a couple of goofy ones in here, and there's a couple of really boring picks in here too, but anyway. Without further ado, let's go on a little tour here. Now, the first enclosure is our ankylosaur and our pachycephalosaur for the park, and that's going to be Pachycephalosaurus and Ankylosaurus. So yeah, I chose these guys. If you've watched my Operation Genesis playthrough, you know that these are some of the starter dinosaurs that you get for that part, or for that game, and I've always really liked Ankylosaurus and Pachycephalosaurus. I'm very much looking forward to Pachycephalosaurus being able to fight off carnivores in the free update that's coming out. And I actually have the max social for the Pachycephalosauruses, so in theory they should like be challenging each other to see who's alpha, but they don't seem very interested in doing that right now. I've also always been a fan of, I like the color of the Pachycephalosaurus in the Lost World, and I also really liked seeing Ankylosaurus in JP3 and the first Jurassic World movie. You might even be able to say that if the two little brothers didn't get in the Ankylosaurus's way, it might have been able to actually fight the Indominus Rex off. But when it's swinging its club tail, the gyrosphere gets in the way, and it kind of like knocks it off balance. So there's our first two. And up ahead you can see this is our We have a gyrosphere tour for a Jurassic era enclosure. So we're just gonna... Another perk with this camera mode is that I can follow the gyrosphere, but I can just go on my own tour. I don't have to actually be in the gyrosphere, so we're just gonna follow the path like we were going on a tour. So up ahead you can see the stegosaur that I chose was Stegosaurus. And so far we're 3 for 3 for picking arguably the most boring of the group, but a lot of this also has to do with, I really like Huangosaurus and Chunkingosaurus, but I use them all the time in challenge mode, and by the time I don't really get to use Stegosaurus in challenge mode very much because you already kind of have your park layout by the time you unlock this guy. I can also say I remember the first time I played the game, if you remember on Isla Sorna, you get a bunch of Stegosaurs, and they gave me a lot of trouble. Actually, I didn't realize that their social requirement was so high. And I actually had more trouble with Stegosaurus breaking out and attacking guests than I had with most of the carnivores on that island. So I do like that they're kind of finicky. It makes them more of a challenge to contain, but overall they're my favorite Stegosaur in this game, and I love that they mostly copied and pasted some of the noises that they make from the Lost World. So, alright, let's move on. Alright, here is our smaller sized sauropod that I've chosen. I went with Apatosaurus over the Diplodocus and Camarasaurus. Mainly, once again, because you get Diplodocus pretty early in challenge mode, and I almost never get to use Apatosaurus. And I also really liked the scene with the Apatosaurus in the first Jurassic World movie. I thought that was one of the better scenes in that movie. I will agree, some people have said they think that the design for them is pretty plain, which it definitely is, but I just like Apatosaurus. I think part of it is Diplodocus's tail is so long that it feels like you have to have a giant enclosure, otherwise its tail is just gonna hit the fence all the time. Whereas Apatosaurus isn't quite as lengthy. Alright, so we're gonna continue on, and you can see our last dinosaur in this exhibit is the Brachiosaurus. So that is the super big sauropod that I chose to display over the Mamenchisaurus and the Dreadnoughtus. Hopefully, I like the other two as well, but Brachiosaurus is possibly more memorable than even T-Rex in the movies, and I really like the way that they're portrayed in the video game as well. So that's all the dinosaurs I have in this enclosure. Actually, they're all kind of packed over here, so we're going to make our way out. Alrighty. And here is our next enclosure up here. I personally, when I can, I really like to have the fences go right up to the pathway, because I really like to be able to see the dinosaurs from the walkways. So there is our Iguanodon. I have two Hadrosaur type or duckbill type dinosaurs in this game, and Iguanodon is one of them. And as you can see, Sinoceratops is one of our ceratopsids that I've chosen as well. So anyway, for the Iguanodon, I really like how they animated it differently. I love that it can actually fight the carnivores, and has some pretty neat skins as well. And for Sinoceratops, I just really like the in-game model, and it's also it's fairly easy to maintain. Some of the other ceratopsids are really picky, so I also really like the skins that they gave the Sinoceratops as well. So I know there's one other in here. I believe it's our Ornithomimid that we chose. Let's see if we can find them. There they are. The first dinosaur you hatch in the game, the Struthiomimus. I like the Gallimimus and the Archaeornithomimus a lot too, but Struthiomimus is kind of special because it's the first one that you get in this game. And also when I was younger, I loved watching The Land Before Time, and the second movie had two Struthiomimuses in it, so that was one of my favorite species for quite a while. And I went with the Rainforest skin. That one's probably my favorite Struthiomimus skin that you can get. Alright, so that is our so we have Iguanodon, Sinoceratops, and Struthiomimus in here. Alright, this exhibit has our first carnivores. I have one large carnivore and one medium carnivore in here, and that is Spinosaurus and Suchomimus. For me, I was super excited to see a dinosaur that could challenge T-Rex in the third movie. Jurassic Park 3 is probably my least favorite of the movies now, but I've always loved the Spinosaurus, even though it probably in real life did not look like the way it's depicted in that movie. The way that the game depicts the Spinosaurus, where it's a little bit lower to the ground, is a little bit closer to maybe what it probably looked like. I will admit, of the quadruped, four-legged Spinosaurus idea, I like the idea that it could switch between 4 legs and 2 legs, but not the idea that it's exclusively 4 legs. But it may have been that way. We don't know. That's one of the cool things about Spinosaurus, is that we don't have enough fossils to truly know for sure. But it definitely was more of a it definitely was more lower to the ground than the one depicted in Jurassic Park 3 anyway. And Suchomimus to me is pretty special because I've seen a Suchomimus skeleton, and if Spinosaurus turns out to truly be a quadrupedal dinosaur, then Suchomimus might be my new favorite dinosaur, because the skeleton that I saw constructed is basically was what you would expect Spinosaurus to look like, with less of a sail. It just kind of had the little ridge on the back rather than the big sail. default skin is one of my favorite dinosaurs in the whole game. I've also always loved alligators and crocodiles because I used to watch The Crocodile Hunter when I was a kid. So this guy being the crocodile mimic is another special dinosaur for me. I will say that the in-game model is probably smaller than what the actual dinosaur was. The real-life Suchomimus is probably a little bigger than this, but like I said, this one still is one of my favorites. I am especially excited to see what these guys are like with the new wetland stuff and the fishing, the new fish dispensers. They've already I don't even know if this was... I know they used to eat goats, but I had a goat feeder in here, and they don't even attack the goats anymore. There's a flock of goats in this enclosure because they just haven't been attacking them, so... I wonder if that's like a new thing where they don't even go for the goats anymore. Alright, let's move on down. We have our second ceratopsid and our second hadrosaur-ish type dinosaur, and those are going to be the Muttaburrasaurus and Chasmosaurus. So I chose Muttaburrasaurus because I never get to use this guy in challenge mode, and you don't unlock him until the end of the game in the story mode. But I love him because it's like there's no other dinosaur that's like this one in the game. It's like a much smaller sized hadrosaur. All the other ones are basically the same size. And then there's this cute, smaller one that you don't really get to use for anything. So, I also really like the default skin. And I remember Muttaburrasaurus as a dinosaur and Walking with Dinosaurs. It kind of had, instead of like the ridgy, bony nose it has here, it looked like, golden metal on its nose, and it would flare open and make its call, which I thought was really neat, but this game decided to depict them differently. But yeah, nothing too... I'll be honest, the other hadrosaurs in the game, aside from Iguanodon, they all kind of... none of them really stand out to me, except for, I think that Centausaurus makes the most pleasant sounding call of all of them, and I've always liked the skin patterns on the Edmontosaurus, but a lot of the other ones don't really stand out to me anyway, so... Not saying I dislike any of them, I like all of them, but these are just the two that I decided to showcase here. And Chasmosaurus is here as another dinosaur that I don't really get to use very often because you unlock so many ceratopsids before it, and also because Chasmosaurus is a bit of a pickier guy for the habitat and social needs. But I think this one's... I really like the ridge and the design of the dinosaur in the game, and I'm really glad they put it in. And I wish I would get to use it more often. So yes, I did not put in Triceratops, and that is mainly because Triceratops is a dinosaur I use all the time in challenge mode. I really do like Triceratops. There's nothing against Triceratops. A lot of this it isn't like this is my top favorite dinosaurs ever, it's more like the way that they're depicted in this video game is a more accurate way to describe what I'm trying to do here. Alright, so we have one more enclosure down this way, and this is our last medium-sized carnivore that I have in the park. And I've mentioned that I've liked this guy several times. These are the Metriacanthosauruses. So honestly, I almost never get to use these guys because it's just easier to have 3 Ceratosauruses. You unlock them sooner, and their default social is 3. And these guys, their default social is only 2, so you have to modify them to have more than 2. It's not letting me go in there for some reason. I'll go around this way. And I've always liked that they actually socialize with each other. It'll actually say that they're socializing. I don't think any of the other medium-sized carnivores do that. I also really like the default Bengal tiger stripes that come with it. And I also like that this so I'm gonna spoiler here, a dinosaur that's not here that I really like, it's probably my first honorable mention, is Allosaurus. And that's just because there were 3 large carnivores that I had higher on the list, or in my brain anyway. But this guy looks like a smaller Allosaurus in a lot of ways. And I will say that some of the noises it makes are a little silly, like that one right there. It sounds like it's burping or almost like purring. So I will say that some of the noises it makes are a little goofy, but either way, Metriacanthosaurus is one of my favorite medium-sized carnivores in the game. Another honorable mention, while we're on the topic, is going to be Carnotaurus. I probably would have had Carnotaurus in here instead of Metriacanthosaurus if they did the arms the way that I believe they're supposed to be. Like, as far as I know, Carnotaurus arms are supposed to be these tiny little stubs that like point backwards down its body. But in this game they gave them like little T-Rex arms where they still have like however many claws, but they look more like T-Rex arms, or they honestly look like the same arms that Stiggy Moloch has, or it just doesn't look right as far as I know anyway. So Carnotaurus is another honorable mention. And over here we have another maximum security dinosaur, and this is our let's see, this is our only small carnivore that I have listed, and that is the Velociraptor. I know I've complained a lot about these guys' lack of interesting skins, but despite that, the calls that they make and everything else is so good that I wanted to include them as my small carnivore, or my favorite small carnivore. I really feel like most of the small carnivore animations were based on what the Velociraptor does, and I really enjoy having them. It's just a pain to keep them because they will try to break out after their comfort has been restored to normal for like just a very long time. They're very hard to keep in larger numbers unless you give them a comfort modification. So I'm really hoping that they give these guys some more interesting skins. They have so many good ones to pick from. They would be a must-have in all of my parks if they got the tiger stripe skin from The Lost World. Alright, so that leaves, there are only 2 enclosures left for us to visit. I will say that for me personally, I really like the Dilophosaurus in this game, but I didn't put it in because, one, I use it all the time in challenge mode because that's a very easy way to get points, and 2, I don't know what it is. I've kind of talked about this before, but the way that the Dilophosaurus runs just doesn't look natural in this game. It looks like it's It just, if you ever watch the Dilophosaurus run, it looks like its hips are like slanted upwards. It's hard to explain. But maybe I'm just being too picky. But I picked Velociraptor as our small carnivore to show off. Alrighty. Let's make our way up this hill over here towards the back way of the park.
Aha.
See if we can see him from here. I hear it. There it is. I just missed him. And of course, I had to include T-Rex. T-Rex is animated so well in this game, and it has probably the most variety of roars and calls of any of the carnivores. I'm pretty sure they added more in. It makes even more noises and roars than it did at first, when I remember first playing the game. So yeah, I had to include T-Rex. I was watching one of the documentaries that Frontier did, and they even said they put extra time and effort on making sure that they nailed the T-Rex, and I really think that they did. I really enjoy having the T-Rex in the parks, and they even gave it one of the better challenge mode skins that you can unlock, the wetland skin, which is what this one has here. So yeah, what's funny is I used to not be that big of a fan of T-Rex. I kind of subscribed to the idea that maybe it was kind of like a scavenger, and it didn't hunt as much, and now I don't really care. I think the bite force that it has, and that's the only carnivore that we know of so far that has it has teeth that are designed for breaking bones rather than cutting through flesh, which is unique in the Tyrannosaur family anyway. Like all the other big carnivores, I just feel like getting bit by a T-Rex is probably would be one of the weirdest things ever, because you'd probably just hear bones cracking rather than like flesh slicing. So anyway, that's the T-Rex, and we have one more in the far corner of the island, and it's one more large carnivore. And I had to include the Indominus Rex. I thought that I really like the Indominus Rex in the movie, and I love it in this game too. It's such a pain to keep, but I love the concept of this super hybrid entertainment dinosaur that can just go on a rampage, and it tries to break out all the time. If they had messed up this dinosaur in the movie, if they had done this hybrid dinosaur and it didn't look like an actual hybrid, cool-looking dinosaur, I think that the first movie would have been kind of a joke, but I think that the design of this dinosaur was cool enough that people caught on with the idea, and the first movie actually did really well. Even though some people aren't that big of a fan of it now, but whatever. I just like how, compared to all the other dinosaurs, it's like as big as the biggest dinosaurs in the game, but it's also way more lean and muscular, whereas like the T-Rex is this big tank, and the Spinosaurus is very lean looking. This one is like right in between, like you could, like this is the don't know what, it's right in between. It's the T-Rex is bulky, the Spinosaurus is lean, and this guy is bigger than both of them. But as far as like bulkiness, it's right in the middle. And they gave it the camouflage gene, like from the movie too, which I really like. And so that concludes my mini tour of dinosaurs. Like I said, I like all the dinosaurs in this game. And me not including, I like all the dinosaurs in the game. These are just ones that I wanted to make a little park and show off some of the ones that I particularly like the way they're portrayed in the video game. Or maybe I've grown attached to them because I never get to use them and I always want to use them in a challenge mode park. So yeah, let me know what your guys' favorite dinosaurs are. I will say I've seen pictures of the Albertosaurus, which is being added in the summer DLC, and that one I don't know if it's going to qualify as a medium or a large carnivore yet, but that one could very easily be a new favorite of mine. It looks really, really cool. And, yeah, thank you guys so very much for the support. I hope you liked this video and learned a little bit more about the kind of dinosaurs that I grew up with and why certain ones are special to me. And remember, like I said, I like all the dinosaurs in this game. There's just some of them that have special meaning to me, and I wanted to talk about them a little bit. So, alrighty, that is all. I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. Thank you so much again, and I'll see ya in the next one. Bye.